My big suggestion to students, particularly through high school, is
you can do anything.
Choose it for you, not for it is worth
it.
Just focus on the next step.
Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Don't be afraid.
As long as you're doing something.
That is such good advice.
I don't think I could see myself doing anything
It's a challenging life.
Student nights, Wednesday to Saturday.
I worked on that house.
I racked up every single dollar of debt that I
I
possibly
think
could.
there's a lot of pressure on high school.
Yeah, I
kids
just
these days,
love working outside.
And if money is something that you care a lot
In
about.
hindsight,
I've also been a very indecisive
But you
person.
keep looking for roads that have been less
It
travelled.
was just that moment that I knew what I wanted to do. So nothing else is going to change that.
Welcome to the guest speaker.
Should we get into it?
We'll get into it, and I usually just rabbit on a little bit about some of the things I've researched on you or know, maybe just to set the scene so the people listening very quickly will get a feel of what you've got to offer. I think this will be really interesting. I think engineering is something in general is a really popular degree, particularly kids who are really competent or love their maths. You're one of the very few kids I had that actually did maths for fun. It's a weird concept to see kids there, you know, running to class to sit and do some mathematical problem, or do it at lunchtime. So you're from that mindset. Later I'll mention, you know, as a year 12, you got a scholarship in physics. So I think that'll paint a bit of a picture for people. So a mechatronics engineering degree at University of Canterbury. And for those people like myself who have to Google that, it's mechanical, electrical, computer, and software engineering design and controls intelligent systems and machines. Does that sound right?
I couldn't describe it better myself.
Okay, so it's a real combination. I'm going to later ask you all of, if you can even put your thinking cap on, all of the engineering sort of wings or compartments that kids can study. You know, I know there's mechanical, civil, there's things like that. And obviously this mechatronics is one. Then you were a mechatronics engineer building drones for 2 years. You must have sold your soul and gone to Timaru. I'm interested in how that went for you. But since then, you've gone South America and Canada, which is interesting because if I go back to your schooling, the two things that hit me are excellence endorsement 1, 2, and 3. You were awarded the Ian and Helen Rogers Scholarship for Academic Excellence. You were the top year 12 student. You were top awards in sports science, geography, calculus, English, physics. You got the scholarship I mentioned in physics. But with that, and I know this is the bit Grace loves and the bit she has a relationship with you, is adventure racing, orienteering, Sir Edmund Hillary Challenge. So here was a kid sitting at school, very clever. So the degree probably doesn't surprise me. And neither does your pathway since, because you've combined your cleverness and your intelligence, but you've kept a healthy balance. And I think this is one of the key things I want to hit for kids is, you know, when we promote careers as teachers, or schools do, we have an obligation to also talk about the balance that it will bring in your life and how we should manage that. So I'm really interested in that balance, whether that started at school. So yeah, let's get down to it. There are definitely a lot of kids sitting here. Engineering is well and truly on their radar. And this particular degree you did is pretty unique in a way. So can we just take you back, Sam, to your schooling, what you remember and how you balance that schooling there, please?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for that introduction. Yeah, I mean, as you said, Blair, I did love school. Like, I enjoyed, you know, challenging myself in all the different subjects. I enjoyed kind of that kind of extension side of it, kind of seeing how far I could go, like whether I could go up to the next level in NCDA or start doing university papers. And that kind of like always got me ticking. And so I guess I always enjoyed that side of it. And obviously, as you mentioned, there was kind of sport was obviously like a big part of my life. I enjoyed the outdoors. I enjoyed kind of adventure. And yeah, that's kind of where the adventure racing fit in. Yeah, like that was kind of my passion. probably if I look back, like my favorite ever time at school was like the week we spent at Sir Edmund Hillary Challenge, which is the 5-day adventure racing competition, and kind of like the build up towards that. So yeah, it's kind of, when I look back at school, that's kind of how I think what I kind of feel like made like the most memories for me.
So really, you mentioned a couple of things there. You were extended in a number of subjects, so because some kids are sitting in schools where that doesn't occur. So you were operating even at year 10 and year 11 and year 11 and year 12, and even to the point you're doing university papers. Do you even remember what that was or were when you were there, Sam?
Yeah, so basically in year 12, all the way up from year 10 to year 12, I was doing like calculus, physics, and geography extended, and that kind of left me in year 13 with like quite an open gap. And there was kind of two options I could do with that. And I kind of chose a bit of a middle road. I could kind of keep extending and kind of start looking towards university or kind of further progressions, which is what I did. I took 2 maths papers from University of Canterbury that are kind of part of, they do lead either to an engineering degree, or you could take them into like an applied maths degree. And so that was like a really cool experience, actually, like just being like the support, A, from the school, B, from the university, to be able to kind of keep that extension. That was a really cool opportunity for me, and kind of gave a bit of an insight of kind of what was involved in that kind of tertiary education space, and what to kind of expect. And then at the same time, I also had quite a bit of free periods to kind of fill up with different things. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to explore outdoor education. I was lucky enough to get a spot in the year 13 class with Johnny Peter. And so that was like an amazing experience, being able to go on the trips, like being able to go mountaineering, bush survival, kind of that sort of thing, provided a really nice balance. And then also doing stuff like materials technology engineering. So being able to kind of get hands-on in a workshop and just kind of tinker around and make stuff and kind of explore those different facets, I guess, and kind of enjoy the freedom that extension had provided me.
Yeah, did extension work for you? And this is maybe the thing I'm sort of, it's more up my street. The debate around streaming kids off and providing with them with opportunities either at the top or the bottom end to sort of more cater their learning. It sounds like it worked to you. I don't want to speak for you, but you were a kid who probably needed this, or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it definitely worked for me. That even like carried on, which was quite satisfying. Like, having done the 2 maths papers in year 13, I then went to uni and I did what they call like I guess we'll kind of get into this a bit later, but like a modified intermediate year at uni. So I did 6 papers of first year engineering, kind of the remaining 6 papers that I needed to do. And then I did 2 papers
Right.
like second year engineering. And then I could kind of, and then I kept that up all the way to my last year.
Sorry. Sam, I want to jump in here before we get into the really engineering element, because to add some personality, and I have a visual, I'm going to share the screen for a second. Ludlam, you've never seen this. This is a photo. This is a photo.
You both look like children.
Sam Bain
What's the word?
and myself here. And if you're listening, I recommend you go find it. But basically, Sam looks, I don't know how old you are in this. You have
Sam looks like he needs a good feed.
And I'm there. And now the reason I shared this photo, and I'll stop sharing, I feel like this whole being above where you're supposed to be comes from a few things externally. I was someone who, in the way it works with Serum and Hillary Challenge, if you're not familiar, is you have to be year 12 or 13. You don't get to, unlike other things where you can move a year ahead, you have to be a year 12 or 13 to compete in that. But here I was, and I think I'd done it a couple times, and so we're supposed to have this wisdom and authority. I remember Sam turned up and we just gave it to him. We were like, trust you with my life. You can take navigation. You tell me what to do. No questions asked. And maybe it's also this you're the youngest of 3 siblings. Is that right? Yeah. As a youngest sibling myself, I know what that feels like when you feel like I can do it because you've seen your siblings doing it. And so you just knew how to kind of step into a situation above where you should be. And you weren't that annoying little brother. I just remember you coming in and being like, this guy knows what he's doing. And so to flavor some personality to what you were like in high school was, for some reason, you had a lot of, it felt like from the outside, you had a lot of wisdom and confidence in being in these uncomfortable level up situations. Do you know why you felt like that, or is that just who you are?
Yeah, that's a good question. I really know. I guess looking back to that experience, I remember doing that race with you guys, and I was like, it did feel kind of weird to me. Like, I mean, you probably don't think it, but kind of being like years below you and Mitchell and kind of that crew in high school, and you always kind of like look towards these people like yourself, and you're like, wow, they have so much kind of like aura and kind of that leadership. Being able to kind of like go in there and like boss you guys around a wee bit. It was a lot of fun.
It's exactly how it went.
And yeah, I guess it was fun, and I enjoyed taking part in that sort of thing.
Isn't it interesting, because, you know, and this has always been my debate with, you know, the academic extension is, you know, to deny a year 9 rugby superstar a spot in the first 15 just because they're year 9. If they're good enough, put them in there. Because what you guys are talking about, it's not just being there, it's rubbing shoulders with those who maybe think similarly, that you can learn from in other ways. It's not just being in a position put there in the classroom, is it? You're now talking with people, you're relating to them, and so you were benefiting, obviously, extension, you know, not only university papers, mucking around with Grace, head girl, you know, it's good fun and good for you if you're that way inclined.
Yeah. And I guess that's what I enjoyed. Like, once we got beyond, I think, kind of year 11, year 12, year 13, we weren't just kind of this separate extension class where it was just like you and a bunch of nerds talking about calculus. It was like you get thrown in there with kind of the group ahead, and you're interacting with different people, and you're kind of, I guess you're kind of hearing those conversations that they're having about their future, and kind of being able to kind of get ideas and inspiration from them while kind of having that benefit of time.
And this is a good time just to jump back a little bit, Sam. You were sitting there now getting all this interaction with other kids and with university. Although you went to UC because you'd done 2 papers, it wasn't because you did 2 papers, I presume. Did you have options on the table in terms of your career or your study beyond mechatronics at Canterbury? Can we get you just to, so kids sitting there going, I'm really clever at maths too. I love running around mountains like Sam does. Could you give them some advice around your options, or did you only really have one?
Yeah, I was trying to think back to this a wee bit, and I couldn't really pinpoint an exact time that I did decide that was what I was going to do. I kind of obviously, with that kind of math sciencey background, engineering kind of sounded like a good idea. I guess being able to kind of, I was always kind of a bit of a tinkerer and kind of like doing stuff in the workshop at home with Dad, and kind of make little bits and pieces. Honestly, I didn't initially think mechatronics. It was when I first went to university, I was looking at mechanical or civil, basically just because I hadn't really done a lot of computer science. I hadn't done a lot of electronics. But I guess, yeah, that's kind of the great thing about the degree at UC is you kind of start in that general first year, and it kind of gives you a bit more time before you're committing to one of those flavors. I also,
So that's the time where kids can choose. If they think engineering, Sam, they do their first year, even if they think they're going in a certain direction, that's the time. Immerse yourself first year in engineering and then make that call. Is that right? And how many calls do you have? How many options do you have?
So I think there's maybe 7 or 8 different types of engineering. And some of them are kind of quite like on their own kind of niche, and then some of them are a bit more of a kind of spectrum, I guess. So there's obviously civil engineering, there's chemical engineering, which are kind of each kind of their own specific things, but obviously you can kind of share the same like first year papers as every other engineering class. And then there's mechanical, mechatronics, electronics, computer engineering, software engineering. I think that might be it. So those kind of 5 are all kind of a bit of a spectrum, which is kind of cool that, yeah, there's kind of options to kind of tailor more to one side or the other. And then mechatronics, for me, it kind of attracted me as being kind of a bit of everything. Like I kind of love that variety of being able to see like a whole project start to finish and work on kind of the different aspects of it, and kind of like being able to learn off kind of heaps of different people who are like real experts in like each niche, be able to kind of combine that.
So when I ran into a koko and he's doing computer engineering, he sat through the same first year as you and went that way because of the computer love he must have had. Was that?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, taking it back to high school, I did also, I remember when I was in outdoor education and we were kind of talking about careers and stuff, and Johnny Peter brought in, we had a guest speaker come in who worked at Taipatini Polytech on the West Coast, and he was kind of discussing options of going into the outdoor education space and kind of getting a career there. And I remember that kind of got me really thinking about like what I wanted to do, and I kind of almost had this little like crisis. I went home and kind of talked about it with my parents, and I was like, I'd just obviously been enjoying kind of this outdoor education side of things, and I was like, felt like in this moment, I was like, if I go do engineering, like I'll be giving this side of things like up, and I was kind of like worried about that. But yeah, then kind of talked it through with my parents and a few different people, and kind of realized that just because like you don't have to make every one of your passions into a career. Like you can still have passions kind of outside that career space. And I mean, engineering was also something that I was passionate about. And it kind of felt more natural for me to kind of go for a career in engineering and kind of pair that with like a passion outside of my career, in the outdoors and adventure, as opposed to kind of trying to do it the other way around, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I feel like, well, that's good advice for anyone listening if they think I have this passion and I want to pursue it, because you can't really do engineering in the same, like you can go on the weekend, especially if you're in Canterbury, and do the hiking and do this. But if you're in like Greymouth, because Mitchell Lamb, who I think did what you're talking about, we'll have him on at some point, you can't really do engineering on the side. That's not that's maybe you tinker, you create stuff, but having that little crises, I guess, potentially was helpful too, because I mean, we'll get into where you are and all the places you've been, but even the mechatronic, I keep saying it wrong, I had to Google it a bunch of times too, but you're kind of it sounds like, you know, the saying, jack of all trades, master at none, but you're kind of becoming just a master of many, is how that feels like. And same with keeping the outdoor red element alive. Like, just knowing you, and I haven't kept up with the level that you're at, but was that a choice going to Canterbury as well, of I want to be able to keep the hobby and the outdoor element, as opposed to, like, did you think about Auckland or Waikato or other universities?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I guess, yeah, the three options kind of for engineering would, or the three most kind of well-known ones in New Zealand, the Canterbury, Waikato, and Auckland. I mean, obviously kind of growing up on a farm and kind of enjoying that outdoor space, Auckland never really kind of sold it to me. Like, I kind of wanted to be kind of out there, kind of accessible to the mountains. And Waikato, I guess I kind of wanted to get away and kind of go out on my own a wee bit. I feel like if I stayed in the Waikato, it would feel kind of like I wasn't kind of pushing myself and kind of progressing as much as I wanted to.
Was there family influence there too, Sam? Like, where had because Grace brought this up earlier, which I think is relevant with your status in your family being the third, the youngest. Where had they gone? And then at some point after that, so I don't interrupt again, how was that transfer from Cambridge down to Canterbury in terms of, was it halls? How did you pay for it? So kids can get a feel of how that works too. But yeah, so siblings and the transfer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's quite important as well, actually. So my sister went and studied nursing at Palmerston North, which was really cool. And then my brother, who was 1 year above me at school, Fraser, he went and studied engineering at UC as well. So I guess that was kind of a cool way to kind of be able to kind of get another the kind of aspect of what it was like down there, and kind of see the things that he was up to, and being like, oh, this looks like something I could be interested in, and it looks like he's having a really good time. And so yeah, we went. I remember when we went and dropped Fraser off to university, it was when we were doing the coast to coast for school. So we kind of like all drove down there together, and I was lucky enough to do it as a team, and I did the kayak section, and then my brother did the whole thing, and then kind of dropped him off at university, and kind of got to kind of get a bit of an insight into what was there. And then then the next year, then going back and deciding I was going to go, me and Fraser traveled down together in a car. We packed all our shit into the back of a car and drove down to Christchurch together. And then I remember he dropped me off at the halls on the first day, and him and his good friend Harry Liddon came in and snagged a free lunch from the hall, which was kind of funny. I just remember like the everyone kind of sitting at this table at the hall, and everyone's chatting like, where are you guys from? What degree are you doing? And they're kind of just like sitting next to me at this table and trying to like put on that they're like meant to be there. So that was a really cool kind of introduction, and kind of having Fraser there and being able to kind of bounce off him and stuff.
What halls were you in, Sam, and how did you pay for it?
Yeah, so I was in R&R Hall, Rochester and Rutherford, and I really enjoyed that hall. Like, it's kind of quite a sought after hall. Like, it's quite small in comparison to some of the other ones, and they're really looking at trying to bring in kids that are like hardworking and kind of enjoy kind of some sort of like extracurricular activities. Like, they're kind of looking for people who are passionate about different things. So I found that really kind of good for me, like when I got there, and kind of being able to meet all these different people who are passionate about different things. A lot of my good friends that I made at university were through the hall. So yeah, it was a good haul for me. I was lucky enough. I obviously got a number of scholarships going into uni. Nothing like really major, but kind of a lot of different things through kind of school and from the university and whatnot. And then I was also lucky enough to have some help from my parents in terms of paying for some of the tuition and that sort of thing at school. And yeah, and then also kind of working during the summers and everything like that.
Out of my curiosity, what engineering did Fraser then do? So you went mechatronics. What did he do?
Yeah, so Fraser did chemical engineering, which is quite cool, like quite a different kind of niche, I guess. And yeah, he's kind of gone on to do, he worked in brewing for a couple of years. And then he's kind of gone on to, he's now managing like a cheese factory in Wellington, which is pretty cool.
Right. I'll be hooking him up.
And this is maybe jumping, so then we can go back. But thinking of other Canterbury engineers, Ben Hawken was my year, so he's a couple years above. And I know he's in Canada too, doing something in engineering now. But I think at first he just went over to ski. So similar to you, where he's like, I've got the engineering and I've got this outdoors. You graduated high school, was 2018? Was that your last year?
2018, yeah.
And then is engineering's 4 years? Is yours longer or shorter? It was still 4?
It's 4, yeah.
So 2022, throwing a little bit of COVID experience. So you finish in 2022. And then now 2025. What were the next steps? I mean, I know I'm jumping, so we'll go back, Ludlam, but I'm curious where you are and how you've gone from Canterbury to Canada.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I guess I graduated, end of 2022. I kind of, I didn't really know what I wanted to do off the back of university. It was kind of, I found it quite a weird time kind of leaving uni. I kind of felt like all through kind of my education pathway, there was kind of always like a next step and kind of something next to kind of be working towards and kind of like a clear direction. And then kind of leaving uni, and it all kind of like opened up. There wasn't like an assignment due on Friday and there wasn't a test next week. And I almost like felt a bit lost again. So yeah, I kind of applied for a few jobs, but I would say I was kind of reasonably particular about what I wanted. And then nothing really went through. So I was like, right, I'm going to go traveling for a few months. So I went to South America. I think it would have been like a week or two after exams finished. I left, took a one-way ticket to Colombia is where I landed. And honestly, I had no idea what I was going to do there. I kind of did a bit of research into kind of the general, what it was all about and what you can kind of get out of it. But I kind of organized very little. I had like 2 nights accommodation booked when I first got there. And then I had a return ticket out of Santiago in Chile like 3 months later. And I was like, I just got to get from A to B and kind of explore whatever's along the way. And honestly, it was so much fun. I ended up, the ticket I booked to go across there, it ended up getting cancelled like the day before. And then some of my flight got delayed a few days. And so those 2 nights accommodation, my only booking of the whole trip, I didn't even make. But no, that was awesome experience and kind of being able to learn a new language and kind of explore the different terrain and explore the culture and all that. I kind of traveled down the western coast of South America. Anyway, I'm getting far too into it.
No, I like that. Perfect. That's good. Great.
So then
we've been talking a lot, Sam, about soft skills of kids at school, and we never really know whether we're really doing them credit. For a kid to book a ticket, turn up, and deal with that, I'm saying we've just ticked all the boxes. Any school who has a kid who leaves and can do that, in fact, let's throw them all on a plane and see who survives. That's brilliant.
And even
honest.
The language part too, Sam, like I'm here learning Dutch, and it's the way that you start to think, where it's you look at a phone, and in our English brain we're like, well, that's a phone, but once you start to learn a language, you unlock a whole new level of thought, which is probably quite helpful for your engineering, where you're like, there's so many ways I can call that one thing. And that sounds like such a simple concept, but even while you're there trying to speak and navigate in a different language and culture, all of that's huge for the social skills, but also your confidence to be in, again, like you were in high school, to be in environments that are potentially out of your league, and then level up and feel confident in them. That's, like Ludlam just said, all those competencies that we really want to push for people listening. As you want to be an engineer, it's a lot more than just calculus and physics and whatever else. It's all these other things that color your life. So you're going through, you've got that one-way ticket out. Is there any point when you're traveling that you think, I might just cancel that one-way ticket? Like, did you want to stay, or were you ready to head back?
I think by the time, I guess kind of having that return ticket and kind of knowing that I was going home, it definitely meant, like, towards the end of my travels, I was looking forward to it. I think when there is kind of more that openness, and you're not kind of thinking specifically about things at home, then it would have been easier. But no, I'm happy that I went home when I did, and I was it was a good kind of refresh for me. Like, by the time I got back, I was eager and ready to kind of get into, like, my career and kind of explore that side of things. So I think 3 months was a really good amount of time for me. Like, there's obviously a lot left that I want to explore in South America. Like, there's kind of a few things that I had to skip given the time that I had. I was like, I'm definitely going to come back at some point in the future and kind of explore these areas a bit deeper and kind of see that side of things.
So tell us about your job then. You must have, in this too, where you've applied, how did the job process work for you?
Yeah, so I'd kind of been looking into jobs, obviously, before I left. And this one job came up for a company called Aotearoa in Timaru. And that kind of interested me, I guess, as a mechatronics engineer, because it's quite a new degree. There's not a lot of positions that are tailored specifically for a mechatronics engineer. I think on, like, kind of for any, like, large company, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have someone that's kind of like that jack of all trades sort of role. Like, they want a lot of people who are really good at their one little niche, and kind of combine them all together in a box, and out goes the product. So I was kind of looking around for kind of smaller companies where you could kind of have a little bit of taste of everything, and kind of have that responsibility of kind of working on kind of larger projects. And so I had a chat to them before I left. This was kind of once I'd already booked the ticket. And then they're like, yeah, we'd definitely be keen to kind of have some further talks. And so, yeah, I kind of left it there. And then when I came back from South America, I went down to Timaru, and I had a talk with them about what opportunities there were there for me. Got a position there. Do you want me to talk a bit more about what they did?
Yeah.
What I did there? Yeah.
Please.
So yeah, Aeronavics, they're a drone manufacturing company based in Timaru, which is kind of crazy. How the company kind of started is back in, it's kind of the early 2000s, I think. They started just this was kind of in the new age of kind of drones, and they just built like little kits for people to kind of make their own drones at home. And then that market kind of got flooded by like China and kind of heaps of different players. So they've kind of been constantly kind of trying to find new niches and things. So kind of when I turned up, we were focusing on like heavy lift, unmanned aircraft for applications like agriculture, pest control, kind of those sort of like spraying applications and different things like that. So yeah, one of the major projects I was working on was a hybrid petrol electric drone for spraying wilding pines. Was kind of the major use case of that. So yeah, it was kind of like a 50 kilogram kind of takeoff weight drone with like a 2-stroke petrol generator kind of strapped to the bottom of it, and an electric drive line, and then kind of fitted out with pesticide sprays and a petrol tank, so that it could kind of fly around these hard to reach places and eradicate the wilding pines.
Quick question on the geography, because Ludlam knows how mine works. Timaru, I know where that is, but if you didn't know, someone listening know. By the way, Sam, I forgot where Wellington was. I thought it was the top of the south. It's the bottom of. No, it is the top of the south. It's the bottom of the north.
You've been gone too long.
No, we're going to ban you from geography conversations.
But it's relevant. Where is Timaru? It's the bottom of the north as Wellington. I'm confident in that. But where's Timaru?
So Timaru is 2 hours south of Christchurch in the South Island.
South Island. Yep, perfect.
So yeah, it's kind of halfway between Christchurch and Dunedin, relatively close to Mount Cook National Park, a few hours from there, and right on the coast.
I can see, Sam, why when you're on this orienteering and Sured thing, the maps were not given to Grace. It wasn't because you were really good. It was just there was no way she was getting them.
Yeah.
I had other.
She had other talents.
Yeah, I bring other elements to the table, but geography's not it. So I think that's relevant though, because you're down in the south, like you said, you're close to Mount Cook. Do you have friends down there? Like when you're making these decisions, are you drawn more by the engineering challenge or the outdoors or friends? Like how are you making these decisions?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, going out of uni, I kind of, obviously there's like so many different ways that you can go with a mechatronics degree, and you can kind of apply it in a lot of different ways. For me, I kind of had this idea in the back of my mind that the direction I kind of went for my first job, I wanted that to be kind of a direction that I wanted to continue. Like I didn't want to just go get a job and anything random, and then kind of I kind of felt like if I went, say, another option would be I could have gone and worked at like a pulp and paper mill in Kawerau or something and kind of just got in a job there as a mechanical engineer, based on kind of, I don't know if it was easier or closer to family or something like that. And then I feel like if I was there, then it would be a lot of effort for me to kind of jump back to something else. So yeah, kind of that first employment for me, I felt was really important in terms of getting a job that I enjoyed and something that I could kind of build up the skills that I was kind of passionate about. And that was kind of took priority for me over being in a place that where my friends were, or kind of where I could kind of get those other, I guess, like satisfy those other kind of facets of my life. In saying that, I actually kind of enjoyed Timaru a lot more than what I thought I would. Timaru, it gets kind of a bad rap from people who live in Christchurch. It's kind of like, I guess it's like people who live in Cambridge talking about potato. It's kind of got that whole sort of vibe to it. But no, it was actually a lot of fun. Like I met a lot of people there who were kind of shared similar passions to me. Was able to join like some running clubs and climbing clubs and get out mountaineering and kind of satisfy that side of things. And I also wasn't too far from some of my buddies who were still in Christchurch, and getting out for missions with them in the hills and stuff.
Yeah, I've got a clause too, because if you're listening to this, I yelled out steampunk earlier, and someone's going to say, "What the hell was that man saying?" It's renowned for steampunk, isn't it? Like they have those big dress up parades in the middle of town. Am I right, or have I done a grace?
I think you've done a great. I think that's Oamaru.
Done a grace thing,
Which is pretty close to Timaru. I think it's Oamaru is the steampunk capital of New Zealand.
Cool.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay. Now, Sam, so from what I gather, you then do 2 years with the drones. Is that right? And then
Absolutely.
What happens?
Yeah.
Where did life take you?
So kind of did a couple of years there. 2 years kind of felt like a good amount for me in terms of that kind of first position. I wanted to get kind of some good experience and kind of built up kind of some more responsibility and kind of got to kind of see a couple of projects through from kind of start to finish, which was really nice. Then I was kind of like, okay, I've kind of made this sacrifice, if you will, with kind of bunny ears, to kind of go to a place specifically for my career. And I was like, okay, next I kind of want to flip this on its head. I want to kind of go somewhere specifically kind of for the location and kind of to satisfy my kind of interests in the outdoors and adventure side of things, and then kind of let the career take a bit of a backseat for a few years, but potentially be able to kind of keep exploring that, but kind of not have it as the number one priority for me. So yeah, Canada was a really good option for me, basically because I guess there's kind of three easy options for New Zealanders who only have a New Zealand passport to go and work for like kind of an extended period of time. It's Australia, Canada, and the UK. And so Canada obviously kind of interested me the most of those three options, kind of with the mountains and the kind of infrastructure that's been built up here around kind of those hobbies like mountain biking and climbing and that sort of thing. So yeah, I booked a ticket to come to Canada. And then kind of, I guess the first part of my trip, I kind of wanted to travel a wee bit and kind of get a bit of the gauge of what was going on. Luckily, I had a friend who was already living here as well. One of my friends from uni had moved over, so he had a car and a place to stay in Whistler. So I kind of went there, crashed on his floor for a week, and then we went on a big road tour in his Honda Odyssey with him and a few other mates, and kind of just went skiing. This was back in March, so there's still some great skiing to be had, and kind of explored a few different places around BC, British Columbia, and then kind of ended up going back to Whistler for the rest of the spring. I was kind of just wanted to explore more of the skiing side there, and also kind of into the mountain biking side. If you guys don't know Whistler, it's kind of like, I guess for anyone kind of in New Zealand or kind of in other places. When you think of like Canada and mountain biking, like you kind of think of Whistler, and the bike park there and kind of all the trails. So I was like, I want to spend some time here and kind of get kind of engrossed in this kind of side of things and satisfy that. So I was there for another 2 months, I think, after a road trip. And while I was there, I was working for a platform called Data Annotation, which is kind of random. It's kind of a random gig. I was, my friend Anton, who lived in Whistler, got me onto it. But it was basically an AI training platform where you basically, there's a lot of different niches on the platform, but I was doing kind of software engineering stuff. So it was like training, basically the crux of it is you create a prompt, or a prompt is created for you, and then an AI will generate a response, and then you review that response and edit it to which it's perfect, and then kind of go from there. So that's what I was doing for kind of a couple of months. And that was great for me when I was traveling because it was really good money, and it was very flexible as well. I didn't have any set hours. I didn't have to do, I could do as little or as much work as I wanted. So it was kind of great for that first part when I was kind of wanting to explore and be kind of open to opportunities while still being able to kind of stay afloat financially. And then I was kind of looking into some engineering opportunities. Nothing really was standing out to me overly, but I kind of wanted to stay kind of up in kind of these mountainous areas and kind of be kind of in the thick of it. So then I got a gig where I am now as a shuttle driver for a rafting company. So I'm in Golden, BC at the moment, which is kind of like eastern British Columbia, kind of quite near the border of British Columbia and Alberta in the Canadian Rockies. So yeah, I'm spending the summer here driving buses for a rafting company for a bit, still exploring the mountain biking and the climbing, and that side of things, and then kind of hoping to get back into some engineering in the fall.
I think it sounds brilliant. Like that is cool, and it's right up my,
you.
yeah, right on my alley. It's similar to the way you did the 3 months when you went to South America, and if you're doing this now for the summer, I mean, you want to be able to have this flexibility of meeting cool people. You're going to get all these ideas from people who are telling you, oh man, Sam, you should check out this trail or this or whatever it may be. But you have it in the back of your mind, yep, I'll go back to the engineering at some point. It's a back burner. Whereas, yeah, I love them and I talk about this all the time because you're similar to where I am. Now I'm traveling and I'm doing this and I've got the remote gig, like it sounds like you had before this one. Gives you that flexibility, which is awesome. But how long do you think the Canadian experience is going to be? Do you have an end date? Is it 2 years? Is it 3? Or is it a bit open-ended at the moment?
Yeah. So the visa I got, I could potentially go into kind of that application process as well at some point. But yeah, the visa I have is a 2-year visa, working holiday visa. So yeah, basically when the 2 years is up, I think the next option, I think in order to kind of carry that on, you'd have to have kind of like a professional job. Like I think if I had an engineering position that I kind of developed to even had like a year experience at, and I wanted to continue that, then I probably could work together with my company to carry that on. But yeah, that's kind of, I'm kind of leaving that open-ended at the moment, and I'm kind of, yeah, the intention is always kind of to go back to New Zealand within the next kind of few years. So yeah, whether when that kind of 2 years is up, whether I kind of find something that I'm like, okay, I want to stick around and go through the kind of admin of extending the visa in order to carry this on a wee bit and explore it a bit more, or whether I'm like, no, I'm happy, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah. Just the visa, the youth mobility, is that one, it's like 18 to 30 or something? 18 to 30.
I think so, yeah.
It's similar. Yeah, like I'm sure a lot of people now will have siblings or cousins who have done the London thing. That's the youth mobility too. I'm in the Netherlands on one similar. Kiwis have a lot of options if we want to go abroad. Fortunately, that passport's very very handy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty cool kind of opportunity, I think. Yeah, it's kind of funny, like a lot of people who live here, they kind of like ask me like, why would you come to Canada? Like, because they kind of see New Zealand and they see it's so beautiful and all this stuff. And I kind of say to them like, I like know New Zealand's where I want to be, kind of long term, and I'm gonna have like a lifetime to explore their backyard. But for me, like while I'm young and have like limited responsibilities and had kind of only a handful of shit to kind of have to either throw out or pack in a suitcase, I think it's such a good opportunity to kind of go and immerse yourself somewhere else and kind of, I guess, like scratch that itch almost of kind of what would it have been like to go live across the world and kind of, yeah.
I love it.
Hey, look, Sam, can I just ask, because there'll be someone sitting there, they're not going to do your travel, but they maybe love the engineering mechatronics. What are we talking in terms of, you've touched on the type of employment you can get. What's the money side of it? Is it a really lucrative thing? Is it, what's the income levels?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, in terms of the engineering disciplines, it's probably somewhere down the middle. There's kind of, I guess, as I was saying, there's a lot of different kind of routes you can go down. Some that would kind of offer a lot more employment. A lot more money, and some that are kind of a bit more kind of standard. So kind of the route that I'm on, I guess, as like a mechatronics design engineer. So when I started work, I was on 70,000 New Zealand a year, which felt like a lot. And to be honest, it was a lot for me. It is a lot still. And that was like well enough to kind of sustain my lifestyle and be able to kind of save some money as well. And then after a few years, by the time I left, I was on, I think, 84,000 a year, which was great. And then I think by the time, if I'm kind of a senior engineer, but not going into kind of management side, like still focusing on kind of the technical design, I think the cap's probably 120, 130-ish around there. But then there's also opportunities, obviously, for management and kind of like equity and
consulting, that other
consulting.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like similar to Aiden, Aiden's the builder we had on, and it's like, yeah, he's upskilling in management and things like that. So yeah, if you start consulting and you can go anywhere, I'm sure the ceiling's pretty high. But thank you. Yeah, that's good insight, because yeah, we're thinking travel, but Ludlam, you're right. Some people are locked in on the engineering.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting off on many a tangent.
Hey, and actually, you've just led me into this, Sam. Before we start to wrap up and Grace does her thing at the end, I just want to touch on where, obviously, this whole podcast series, we use the word navigate a lot. Ironically, orienteering, you get the pun. The way you've navigated, I see back to school. You've navigated, been sort of pushed in different directions. You did incredibly diverse subject range. Although you're exceptionally good at maths, you're also good at geography, you're good at English, you're good at outdoor ed. So I think the way you navigated that, your way out, obviously the help of, I presume Fraser had a real, when you told that story, impact your car. And not everyone has that benefit, I suppose, of having an older sibling to support them like that. So, but I think just obviously a shout out to your family, your school, and even the New Zealand education system, that they've given you the skills to just do this life. And I just wanted to touch on, because I brought this up a lot in class, this midlife crisis. And we used to laugh about it, and sort of there's that everyone who just heard that has heard the term, but what is it? And it's that realization at age 40 or 50 where you look back and you go, I've made a meal of my life. And you mentioned it a little bit, while I've got a little suitcase, while I don't have a lot of belongings and a family and a wife or whatever it is, I've got an opportunity to live and do the things I love. Not everyone's going to go up a mountain in Whistler, but just making sure that when we're talking about navigating, when we're talking about pathways, it's not always jobs. There is a life to live, and I think you've clearly done it. Your work-life balance is unbelievable, and you've navigated, which is what Grace and I want kids to consider, even your choice of university, making sure you went to a university that suited the way you wanted to live. If you want downtown shopping, go to Auckland then, So, yeah, look, I just think it's a real great indictment of you, your family, your education, that what you've done. So hats off to you, mate. Like, well done.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Blair.
And I'm just smiling. It's so cool, because I think the last time we had contact really would have been in school when I headed off. So to see and hear what you've done is just, it's really, really cool. And I'm excited for whatever steps are next. And I'll make a trip to Canada somewhere at some point, no doubt. Sounds like
awesome.
It sounds like I got to go there next. But before I ask my sign-off question, is there anything we didn't ask you that you think we should have, or something you're still like, oh, I want to mention this? Anything kind of a catch-all that we've missed at this point?
Good question. Maybe I'll consult my notes.
Yes, yeah. Take a look, because we don't want to. We love going off topic, but is there anything you think we've missed?
I think we're pretty good. We've got a.
I love that you had a solid look through there. Epic. Well, last question: if you could go back to year 12 or 13, Sam, so not the general public, you've given them enough, just you, what advice would you give yourself?
Yeah. I had a good thing about this one. Kind of a couple of things. The first thing would be kind of dedicating more time to reflection, and kind of off the back of that, kind of planning what I wanted to do. I feel like I was kind of thinking about it, like I think I would have probably ended up kind of down the same path as what I did. Regardless of kind of not having that advice, but I feel like I would have had more kind of confidence and kind of saying yes to opportunities, but also kind of saying no to opportunities that I didn't want to take. So I think that for me, and kind of realizing that it is okay to say no to different things. There's kind of like a freedom to committing to specific pathways, because I feel like, for me, like I kind of just like bombarded by so many things, and obviously getting kind of influenced by all these different people who are doing all these fun things, and always kind of, I feel like I always had in the back of my head, like I'd see someone doing something fun and they'd be like, oh, like, dang it, maybe I should have done that. But if I'd kind of built this solid idea in my head of what I wanted to do, then I'd probably have a lot more satisfaction in the path that I took. And kind of just being able to be like, yeah, that's awesome. Like seeing Grace off going running marathons all over the world. It kind of just like, I guess it's like what social media is doing to us these days, is you see these glamorous sides of everyone's lives, and you're like, kind of like, wow, maybe I should have done that. But like, yeah, just being able to kind of go back to something and be like, actually, this is the path that I'm most passionate about, and like just being like really confident in that. for me would have been good advice.
That's great advice for anyone, right? Like I do think too, and that's a thing Blood and I have talked about with the difference of these generations, like who we're talking to now. Social media is great in some ways because you can keep up, but you have decision fatigue and opportunity fatigue. And someone like you who's very talented in many different things, you could have, is it like decision paralysis or something, right? Where there are so many options and you compare and you look at other people. So that's advice to you, but I think that's good advice to anyone listening, is let's not just look at the highlights reel of what other people are up to and think more about yourself. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'd obviously like to thank you guys for kind of this opportunity to come on here. Like, for me, like that was part of I guess there was kind of two reasons I wanted to come on. The first was obviously to kind of share my story and inspire others. But I also wanted kind of the opportunity for myself and to kind of force myself to reflect on kind of where I've been and why I've kind of done the things that I've done. So yeah, it's been cool to kind of look back on it and kind of, yeah.
Absolute pleasure listening to it, Sam. And I'll kick myself if I don't mention it. You probably, without realizing, have already had the hardest job in the world. You tutored my son mathematics. And his maths teacher described my son as his Everest. It's like he conquered the bastard. But thank you for that, because Noah sends his regards and he's doing really well. And his maths, while he's a glazier, is right up. You know, he's measuring, he's angling. So the work you put in there, I just want to put a shout out, and he sends his regards, and so does Janine, who you spoke to earlier. So
that was one of my favorite experiences, and the spaghetti toasties from Janine just made it all the more special.
Wicked. Hey, well, look, take care of yourself, Sam. Make sure you stay safe with all your travels, and hopefully we catch up in person sometime soon, eh?
Yeah, I'll be in Canada soon enough. It has to happen now.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely hit me up. Either of you if you're over this way. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to catching up with both of you.
Oh, thank you so much, Sam. Honestly, well.